with me, who is one of my students, and also she's a neuroscientist. So she has a lot of stress in her life, and she's also a beginner yogi. So that is an awesome combination for the class that we're going to be doing today. Make sure you get some props. If you've never done yoga before, it is a great, great class for you. She's been practicing for a little while, but still, there's always a lot to learn. So get some blocks. There you go. Show the blocks to the audience. If you don't have any blocks and you have Harry Potter books, those work really good because they're thick, or any other really thick book. Also, you can use a blanket, any blanket. If you don't have a blanket, you can use a towel. And you can also use a belt. There are so-called yoga belts, but honestly, you can just grab any belt you can find. And if you don't have any of these things, you can also do the practice anyway, so you're good. So as you can see, I'm sitting on my blanket with my legs crossed. If this is not very comfortable for you, you can also sit on your knees like this, or you can sit on a chair if that is how you are the most comfortable. Either way, we're going to start with a little bit of breathing. So bring your hands on top of your knees and close your eyes. Make your spine nice and long. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. Continue to breathe. And every time you exhale, see if you can release any tension in your body. If your mind starts to wander to what you have to do afterwards or what you've done today, just come back into your breath and stay fully focused in this moment. One more breath, breathing in and exhale through your mouth. Open your eyes. As you inhale, reach both arms up over your head. Palms touch. Bring the shoulders low away from your ears. And as you exhale, bring your left hand to the outside of your left hip. And see if you can walk your fingertips a little bit away and open your chest. Maybe look under your right arm. Inhale, slowly come up. Bring the palms together over your head. And exhale, bring your right hand next to your right hip. Maybe start to walk the fingertips away. Keep the shoulders away from the ears and look under your left arm if that feels okay. And sort of breathe, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Inhale, slowly come up. Bring both arms up, palms touch. And as you exhale, bring your palms in front of your heart center. Good. From here, bring your hands in front of you and make your way into hands and knees. If you have delicate knees, you can always place a blanket under your knees. So come into hands and knees. Yep. So you can place a blanket right there if that feels better for you. Good. Make sure that you spread your fingers nice and wide and you bring your shoulders and your wrists in one line. So maybe move your hands a little bit back. Perfect. As you inhale, come into cow pose. So your low back goes down. Lift your tailbone up. Keep the shoulders away from the ears. And as you exhale, round your spine and look towards your belly button, really rounding into the middle of the back. Again, as you inhale, going into cow pose. Beautiful. Keep the arms strong and the fingertips grounded onto your mat. And as you exhale, come into cat, rounding as much as you can, relaxing your neck. As you inhale, come into a flat back. Good. As you inhale, reach your right leg behind you with the toes right onto the floor. Straighten the leg. Keep the hands really grounded onto the floor and start moving back and forth a little bit. And keep breathing deeply, inhaling and exhaling through your nose. As you inhale, come back to center, reach your right leg up behind you. And really engage your core and make sure that you're squaring your hips. So maybe the leg doesn't go as high. And as you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. And see if you can step that right foot between your hands. And sometimes it's nice to just grab your foot with your hand and bring it through. Perfect. Move your right leg, left leg as far back as you can. Good, and keep those hips nice and square. And you can stay here lifting your chest. Or maybe you want to go ahead and lift your arms all the way up. Breathe. Make sure that your knee is not sickling in towards the left. So you want to always see your big toe on the inside of your right knee. Palms are facing each other. One more inhale, deep through the nose. And exhale, bring your hands to the floor. And bring that right foot back again. Now bring the toes together. And maybe you separate your knees a little bit and come into a child's pose. So you're going to sit towards your heels. If that's not comfortable, you can always place a blanket between your bum and your heels. And breathe deeply here. Make your breath as deep as possible. Inhaling deep. And exhaling long. Inhale deep. Exhale long. On your next inhale, bring yourself back up into hands and knees. Once again, making sure that you're spreading your fingertips, that your shoulders and your wrists are in one line, and that your knees are right below your hips. Engage your core, and as you inhale, bring your left leg behind you with the toes on the floor, straightening that left leg as much as possible, and start to move your body back and forth, warming up through your calf muscle, maybe even a little bit your quad, so make sure your leg is nice and engaged. And remember that if at any point your wrists start to hurt, you can always make fists with your hands, and then you're releasing the pressure from your wrists. And I love how Heather just decided to do that, right? Because there's no point in forcing your body to something that it doesn't want to do. So good, slowly coming back to center, keep that flat back. And as you inhale, reach your left leg behind you. Engaging your core, trying to create a nice straight line from the top of your head through your left heel. Straighten those arms if that feels okay. And as you exhale, bring the knee towards your nose. And then step that left foot between your hands. Good. Move your right leg back a little bit more if that feels okay. And remember, you can keep that blanket under your knees at all times or at any time that it works for you. As you inhale, lift your chest, lengthen your spine. And you can stay there. Or maybe you want to engage your core and lift the arms up. Remember to keep that knee out. So maybe move your foot a little bit more out. Perfect. So you want a straight line from your hip to your knee down to your ankle.
Should I be on my toes in the back leg? Or
you can pick. So that's a good question. So you can keep your toes on the floor or you can point your toes back. It's always whatever feels good to your body. Breathe. Relax into your hips. One more breath. And exhale, bring the hands down to the floor. Move your left leg back. And go into your child's pose. And always take your time to come in and out of poses. Allow your breath to guide your movement and not your movement to force your breath. Breathe. One more breath. Lovely. From here, we have two options. So option one, you can do half downward facing dog or you can do full downward facing dog. If you're going to do half downward dog, make sure that once again your knees and your hips are stacked. So bring your knees closer to each other. Yeah, and then you're going to keep the hips up and move your arms and your hands forward. Yeah, and then you're going to lengthen through your spine. So it's a downward dog on your knees, really. Yeah, so you could even move your arms forward a little bit more. Good, relax your neck and lengthen through your spine all the way up. And this is a great variation if you really don't want to do downward facing dog. Now Heather, if you want to go into full downward facing dog, it will take 3 more breaths. So if you want to go into downward dog, once again, expand your fingertips, ground through your index finger and your thumb, and then tuck your toes underneath and lift your knees off the floor. Don't try to extend your legs yet. Bend your knees and see if you can bring your chest towards your knees. So you're still doing the same motion of expanding through your spine, ground through your hands, and lift your hips up as much as feels comfortable. Nod your head yes a few times. And no. And remember, at any point, you can come back down into your half dog. On your next inhale, drop your knees to the floor, untuck your toes, and go into your child's pose again, Balasana. And start to feel the energy flowing through your body. It doesn't take very much for your body to kind of settle in if you really focus your energy on what you're doing at that moment. Lovely. On your next inhale, come up into hands and knees. And maybe come into your downward facing dog or your half dog. Bend your knees a lot here and look forward. And start a step, one step at a time, all the way to the front of your mat. And maybe you want to move your blanket out of the way for a little bit. Start a step all the way forward. Beautiful. Keep your knees bent. And inhale, look forward. So we're lifting halfway. You can bring the fingertips to the floor, or maybe you bring them to your shins, whatever feels best for you. And as you exhale, fold forward, keeping those knees bent, bringing your knees hips distance apart. Yep, and bending the knees so your belly and your thighs are touching each other. Relax your neck. And maybe you want to grab opposite elbows here. And relax your head. Allow your spine to truly lengthen and relax. Maybe you want to swing a little bit side to side. Very, very mindfully of how your body feels today. Go, release the arms, bring your hands to your shins. Inhale, lift halfway. Bring your hands to your hips, and keeping the spine long, lift all the way up. Beautiful. Going into Tadasana, which is the mountain pose, so your feet are parallel, hips distance apart. Make sure you tuck your tailbone under, and you lengthen through your spine. Roll your shoulders back, and face your palms forward. Close your eyes, flex your shoulders, and really feel the grounding of your feet here. The length of the legs, the length of the spine. Good, one more breath. And exhale. As you inhale, reach your arms over your head. And as you exhale, bring your palms in front of your heart. Okay, so once your body's a little bit warm, we'll go into a little bit of balancing. So we'll go into tree pose. Now for tree pose, there's several variations. Today we'll just cover the two, I would say more beginner versions of this. So first of all, you're going to open your right hip and really ground through your left leg. So feel the four corners of your left foot lengthen through the left side of your body, and just keep that right hip open. So I will do the less challenging version of this. So I'm going to keep my toes on the floor and bring the heel right onto my ankle. And then open my hip as much as feels good. Keep the leg strong, and I'm going to bring the palms of my hands in front of my heart. Good. If you want to go a little bit deeper and really challenge your balance, you can start to lift your foot off the floor and glue it somewhere along your leg. Where you don't want to go is right onto your knee. So either below the knee or above the knee. Lengthen through your spine and press the palms of the hands against each other and both legs against each other. You can stay there, or maybe you want to grow some nice, lovely branches. Beautiful. And wherever you are where you need to be. Breathing in. And breathe out, bring the palms in front of your heart again and start to release that right leg. Go to the other side. So this time really ground through your right foot. If you can, maybe you want to spread your toes and drop the toes down one at a time. And that once again is something that takes practice. For some people it's super easy to spread their toes. For some other people it's just very, very difficult. And then open your left hip towards the left. Make sure your right hip is not pushing forward though. So you keep the hips square to the front. From here you can bring the toes onto the floor and the heel on your ankle and bring your palms together for your tree. Or maybe you want to bring your foot somewhere along your right leg. Keep your tailbone tucked under like we did in Tadasana in the mountain pose. Lengthen your spine. And maybe grow your branches. Breathe. One more breath. And exhale, bring the palms back down, release the foot. And just shake it out a little bit. Good. And go back to the front of your mat. And make sure your blocks are handy now. As you inhale, there you go. Yeah, it's good to prepare. As you inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Palms touch. And as you exhale, fold forward. Good, nice and slow. Bending the knees if that feels better. As you inhale, lift halfway, hands to your shins. And as you exhale, bend the knees a lot until your hands come to the floor. Now from here, step into a plank. Now if a plank is a little too much for you today, you can always come into your knees. So whichever one works for you best. Engage your core, open through the shoulder blades. As you exhale, drop your knees to the floor. Keep the upper body in a nice straight line. Bend the elbows back, so tuck them towards your chest, and then slowly lower down without lowering your belly first. There you go. Beautiful. Keep those elbows in. And as you inhale, pushing up into your cobra. Keep the elbows in, shoulders come down and back. Breathe here. Open your heart, open through the collarbones. Good. And as you exhale, go into your half dog or your downward dog. Whatever works for you today. Breathe. Inhale slowly, coming back up into hands and knees. And then from there, step your right foot towards the outside of your right hand. If you need to help the foot get there, please do. And then move your left leg as far back, straight back as feels good. Coming into your lizard. You can totally stay here. Feel your hips. Sometimes it actually feels better to tuck your back toes and lift your knee. But it's up to you what variation you choose. And also, you can grab a block and bring it. Remember that it has 3 heights, so that would be the lowest, the medium, and the high. So you can choose what you want. And then maybe you bring the forearms onto your block. Or maybe you bring your forearms to the floor. It all depends on how your hips are feeling. Make sure you keep pushing your right knee towards the body. Yeah, and sometimes you try variation and your body's like, nope. So, it's also good to know when to back up. Pain is not in your body to be like, yeah. Pain is in your body to be like, whoa, whoa, back off, yeah? So make sure you know when to do that. One more breath. And on an inhale, if you came down to your forearm, slowly bring yourself back up. And then begin to walk your right foot slowly, heel toe, all the way over towards the left wrist. And then drop that right knee down towards your right wrist. Now, the more parallel your shin is to the front of your mat, the deeper is the stretch. So the more you bring your heel towards your groin, the more the less intense the stretch is going to be. So move your left leg as far back as feels good. Keep those hips square, so make sure that your left hip is pushing forward. And then as you exhale, you can slowly go down, and you can also place a block under your right hip or a blanket to make sure that you're staying nice and centered. Breathing in, and as you breathe out, fold forward. If your knee doesn't feel right, you can flex your foot, and if that doesn't help, you have a different option, which is doing the same pose on your back. So you can lay on your back, bring your right ankle over your left knee, and then you can start to lean back and maybe grab your left knee. So there are lots of options. Make sure that you do what suits you today. Every time you exhale, release the tension in your hips. One more breath. And on your next inhale, start to lift yourself back up. Move whatever props you have aside. And then make your way back into hands and knees to do the other side. And remember, always take your time and do what feels good. Bring your hands right under your shoulders, and then step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Take your time, give it a little help. Perfect. Make sure your hips are square, and then move your right leg as far back as feels good. And make sure that the knee and the ankle are in one line and the toes are pointing forward. Make yourself comfortable here. And then either stay on your hands or maybe bring a block under your forearms or bring the forearms to the floor.
Hips are more flexible on this side.
Yeah. And it's really interesting to pay attention to your sides. In a perfect world, you'd be completely even in both sides, but lucky for us, this is not a perfect world, so there's always things we can work on. And instead of taking that as a bad thing, just take it as, well, okay, I can work on this, I can learn from that. Keep pushing that left knee towards you. And on your next inhale, bring yourself back up to your hands. Go ahead and start walk your left foot towards the right side. Dropping that left knee towards the left wrist. And finding the appropriate stretch for you. Grabbing that block and bring it under your left hip. And remember, you can also do this pose on your back. So you would bring your left ankle over your right knee and lay on your back. Breathing in and lower yourself all the way down as you breathe out. Breathe. Allow your hips to relax deeper and deeper with every exhale. One more breath. And then your next inhale, slowly coming up. Remove that block from under your left hip and then swing your right leg around you towards the front. Good, bringing both legs forward. And you can sit on your blanket. If you feel like your hips are rolling back, you may want to sit on something. It feels so much better. And then if you have your belt, you can keep it handy to see if you're going to need it. So flex through your feet. As you inhale, reach your arms all the way up, lengthen through your spine. And as you exhale, begin to fold. And see where your arms fall. We're not trying to force anything, we're trying to relax and release tension. So if you do want to, you can place the belt around the balls of your feet and make sure that the outsides of your feet are opening. Good, and breathe. Keep a micro bend on your knees. Try to lengthen through the spine. And relax the shoulders away from the ears. One more breath. And as you inhale, slowly coming up. And we'll go into Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of your feet together. And remember, if you have blocks, you can use them here under your knees. You don't have to bring the feet super, super, super close to your groin. So if it looks more like a diamond, that's okay too. Just lengthen your spine. And on this, once again, I like sitting on a blanket. It's not necessary. So it's up to what you want to do, what it feels like to you. Maybe you put the blanket underneath and you're like, nope. So just do what feels good.
More comfortable.
Yeah. Inhale, lift your chest. And as you exhale with the spine long, maybe see if you can fold a little bit forward. Relax the hips. One more cycle of breath. And as you inhale, slowly come all the way up. And then come to lay on your back on your mat. Yep. Good, and get your block. If you don't have a block, you can still do this pose. It just won't be as fabulous. So we're going to do supported bridge. So bring your feet as close to your hips as feels good. So that may be a little too close, so give a little bit of room. Yeah, perfect. And then bring your arms nice and straight onto the floor and ground through the shoulders and the arms. As you inhale, see if you can start to lift your hips up. And then place the block at whatever height works for you. So I'm going to try medium. Is that what you usually do? Yeah, and you place it right under your sacrum. And then make sure that your knees are not opening out. Perfect. And just relax here. And it feels so good. Breathe. And exhale. As you inhale, lift your hips a little. And as you exhale, remove that block. If you have a lovely person that removes it for you, that's even better. And then lower your hips all the way down. Good. Extend your legs all the way down. Allow your feet to flop open. Palms are facing up. And just come into Shavasana for a couple minutes. Let go of any breath work that you've been doing and allow your normal breath to take over. Allow yourself to sink into your mat. And keep the focus on your breath if your mind starts to wander. Relax your feet. Relax your ankles. Relax your calves and feel them sinking into your mat. Relax your knees and your thighs. weight of your hips softening right onto the mat. Feel your belly expand and contract as you naturally breathe in and out. Feel your rib cage and your chest rise and fall. Relax your shoulders. Relax your neck, your arms, your hands. Relax your jaw and your cheeks, your eyes and your forehead. And truly feel the weight of your body onto the floor. And see if there's anything else in your body that has any tension left. And let it go in an out breath. Feel free to stay in Shavasana for longer if you have the time. And if you don't, start to wiggle your toes and your fingers. Move your head a little bit from one side to the other. Very small movement. And then slowly start to bend your knees as you bring your knees towards your chest. Maybe giving yourself a nice squeeze if that feels good. And eventually roll into one side in a fetal position. Before you push yourself up into a seat. You can rest your hands on top of your knees, either palms down or up, down to ground, up to open to receive. And for a moment, feel your body and your mind and your spirit. Bring your palms together in front of your heart and bow your head. And thank yourself for spending the time to practice, to release the tension, to release the things that you don't need, to make room for those that you do. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so much, Heather, for joining us today, and thank you all for practicing with me. Remember that I post videos every week, so leave me any suggestions, comments, complaints as well. So I hope this was a very helpful video. I hope you feel relaxed, de-stressed, and ready to get back to it. So,
Thank you.
yes. Also remember, you can subscribe to my wonderful channel if you want to, and I will see you next time.